Welcome back. In this step, let's set up a few entities as well as some of the data for them. So we'll try and set up the student, passport and review entities and set up some sample data for them for getting started. What I'll do is I'll copy the course and call this student. And let's see what are the changes that I would need to make. I'll remove the named queries which are present in here because these are not applicable for a student. I'll leave the ID in here. The name is fine and nullable is fine. I'll not worry about the update and the creation timestamp, so I'll remove them. I'll leave the constructor get name, set name, ID and toString. I'll change it to print student. So that's cool. That's very quick, isn't it? So we now have our student entity ready. So we have our student with a ID and a name. That's cool. We'll define relationships a little later. But as far as the student is concerned, we are good. So now let's go to the data.sql and set up the data for that as well. So insert into student ID comma name. The values I would want to insert are already defined in our spreadsheet. So ID comma name. So let's copy this 3 times so that I can populate the values a little later. Now the IDs for all the students, we'll start with 20,001, 20,002, 20,003, and Ranga, Adam, Jane. So it's Ranga, Adam, and Jane. That's cool. So we have now the student entity ready, and we have also populated the student data in. That's cool. Now I'll copy the student entity and I'll try and create the next one that we would want to do. That's basically the passport. So passport I've copied pasted in. I need an ID. Instead of the name, we would want to call this number. So I'll rename this. So it's a passport number. I can say passport underscore number, but it's already in the passport field, passport entity. So it's a passport number anyway. So I'm renaming the thing. So number, I'll go ahead and do that. Passport number cannot be null. That's cool. The only thing is I'll change the thing in here. It should be number. And I'll change the getter as well. Number, set number. I mean, I can leave the name in here, but I would rather be consistent. Number, get ID, and here let's print the passport with the number. So we now have the passport ready. So we have the passport data ready. So let's do that quickly as well. I'll say insert into passport. We have 40,001. So we start with 40,001, 40,002, 40,003. This is kind of simple convention I use just so that we are not confused with the IDs. So all the students start with 20,000, all passport starts with 40,000 and things like that. Passport number, let's give some random numbers. It doesn't really matter what numbers these are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 and L123890. I'll also copy this into the spreadsheet so that this will be useful when we are discussing them. That's cool. So we have a passport table with data set. This is not a name, this is going to be a number. So now we have the passport entity also defined. So we have the passport ready with an ID and a number. The last one we want to do is to set up a review table with a rating and a description. What I would do is I will copy the student and we would want to call this a review. Let's go ahead and quickly do this. This is ID. I would want to have description as a string. And let's description this, I would want to rename this to description, and this should be set description. Choose description here and here as well. What we are doing is quickly creating the entities. So let's review and %s description. That's cool. So now we have a review with a description. But the thing is, when we create a review, you might not always give a description. So I don't really want to make the nullable else false for this. So I'll leave it like this. I'll remove the at nullable thing because I would want description to be nullable. Null is a valid value inside the description, so that's good. And I would also want to have a rating. For now, I'll define the rating as a string. At a later point in time, we'll define custom ratings. So for now, I would want to just say string rating. And whenever I create a review, I'd want to create it with both the rating and the description. So I'll say this is what rating is equal to rating. That's cool. And in the toString, I would want to add in the rating as well. So rating comma description. Now we have everything here. All that I need is the getters for the rating. Alt Shift S, generate getters and setters, right click source or right click generate source. And I would want the getters and setters for rating. That's it. So now we have the review entity setup. That's cool. We would populate the reviews in here as well. Let's copy the data for passport. So we have ID. So insert into review. We have ID, rating, and description. And rating can be, let's just say 1 for now, and great course. I'll make it 5. Let's focus on adding a few more rows quickly. So 40,001, I would want to really use 50,001 and 50,002 and 50,003. And let's say this is 4 and this is 5 again. Wonderful course. Awesome course. So we have our review, we have our passport, we have our student setup. What I'll do is I'll quickly start the application and see what would happen. Before we start the application, I'd also want to clear out the stuff which we are doing in the demo application. I've commented it out. So all the data that would be there in the table at the end of the whole thing is whatever we are creating in here. So we are now having a course table, a student table, a passport table, and a review table. Let's see if it all works out fine. Let's stop and start the application. I'm starting the application right now, and let's see what would be present in the log. The application is starting up. Oops, when I started the application, I found out that I made a mistake. Actually, the student should have been passport. So let's change that. So these two rows had the wrong table name. They should have been passport instead of the student. Let's fix that. Let's now relaunch the application and see if everything is working fine. I'll go and launch the demo application. The application is starting up. Cool. Now, if I look at the log, you'd see that there is a lot more log which is being present right now. So we are creating a table called course, we are creating a table called passport, we are creating a table called review, and we are creating a table called student as well. And that's very good. And also the data.sql files are getting executed in here, and all the data is getting populated. Let's quickly look at the H2 console to see what data is present in these tables. Connect, and let's run select start from course. We have all the course details that we expected. Passport, yep, the passport details are here. Review, yep, the reviews are here as well. And last one is the student table. Let's get that working very soon. Okay, there you go. So now we have all the entities set up. But the thing is, these entities are not really related to each other yet. So there is no relationship between course and student. There is no relationship between course and review. There is no relationship between student and passport. Over the next few steps, we will create the relationships between these tables. I'll talk to you in the next step.